Hello, it's Lynn Watts here. And today I want to talk about friends, and in particular, um, maybe being friends with someone who is in some way kind of difficult to be a friend with. Before I do that, though, I just want to remind you that it really helps if you subscribe. That way, you will get a notification every time I put out a video, and I usually do two or three a week. So, I'm going to share with you two picture books that you can use to talk about friendship, and in particular, being friends with someone who's a little hard to be friends with, and then a lesson that you could use how you might be able to extend that. So, the first book I want to share with you is called Wanted Best Friend, and it's written by A.M. Monson. And this is about um, two friends. They're a cat and a mouse. So, already you know that there may be, maybe some conflict there, right? And so, basically, the way the story goes, and I use this story a lot in the classroom, is the two of them are playing checkers, and they start complaining as to how they play, and maybe one of them bends the rules a bit, and things don't go well. And so eventually, Cat says to Mouse, "Go home. I'll find someone else to play with." So as the story goes along, Cat decides he's going to write basically a want ad, which probably kids have never heard of before nowadays. But he writes an ad for a best friend, and hence the title, "Wanted a Best Friend." And he puts it out there, and so people start knocking on his door to be his friend. And what he finds out, excuse me, through the rest of the story is that the other potential friends have things that are way worse, habits and ways of working together that are way worse than Mouse ever did. So, in the end, he learns a pretty valuable lesson about friendship and perhaps putting up with some of the things about a friend, or how to let them know um, the things that are getting in the way of friendship. So it's a very interesting book. The activity that I often did along with this after reading the story was then to have the students, and this would work probably with older students, let's say maybe second grade, third, fourth, then to write an ad themselves for what makes a best friend for them. What are the qualities? What are the traits that they would want to see in a friend? And of course, then one of the things to talk about is, do you display those traits as well? All right. So lots of good information here, lots of great ways that you can take this to the next level. The other book is the book that I wrote called Wyatt the Wonder Dog Learns About Good Manners. And in this particular story, he has a pretty bossy friend, which is Max. You'll see Max appear in a lot of the other stories, but Max kind of runs the show, tells him what to play, kind of leaves a mess around. And Wyatt isn't sure what to do about that. So, what he learns and eventually tries in the story is using the I statement. So, I'm sure you're probably familiar with that. I feel, when you, and I want. So, you're sharing something about your frustration, letting the other person know what it is that is bothering you, and then giving them some information about how you would like for them to be different. So, I feel frustrated when you leave and don't help clean up. I want you to help clean up. It can be very, very simple. So, another good story to talk about conflicts between friends, which is really, part and parcel of what happens with friends, right? So, finally, if you want to use the book Stories to Learn By, there is a section in here on solving conflicts. And there's another activity that you can use in here, which is to create a lot of different scenarios. Oops, wrong page here. A lot of different scenarios. They're right here in the book, things that you don't even have to come up with them, but common things that happen between friends. And then the question at the end of each little short scenario, and you can see it's just one or two sentences at the most, is what would you say and what would you do? All right. So it's a great opportunity, and none of them are just obvious. All right. So a lot of them could you could create a lot of discussion around. So your team has two outs and a teammate strikes out. All right. What do you do and what can you say to them? All right. Or another one, your friends are playing Foursquare and you've never played before. What do you do? What do you say? All right. So each one of them is a very simple um, day in the life of a student and gives them an opportunity. You could use these in a variety of ways. You could have a student draw one of them out of a basket and respond. You could have the whole class respond. You could divide students up into groups or partners, and you could have them role play what they would do. That would be great, especially for some older grades. So there's a lot of different ways that you can help kids learn to solve conflicts. As always, thanks so much for listening, and thanks so much for all you do in terms of helping kids in everyday life.